Before this story begins, I need you to understand something. This is not a story about ghosts. This is not a story about monsters. This is not even a story about prison, or snakes, or a house in the woods. This is a story about a family that slowly disappeared. Not all at once, not in one night, but piece by piece, year by year, loss by loss. It started with prison, then poverty, then isolation, then the woods, then death, then loneliness, and finally, silence. I was 9 years old when my father went to prison. By the time I was 10, most of my family was gone. By the time I was 11, I was the only one left. People say I survived, but they don't understand something. You don't survive when you watch your whole family disappear. You just continue living, and there's a difference. This is a story of how my family disappeared, and how it all started with the day my father went to prison. Some people think I survived, but I don't think I did, because a part of me never left that house. I was 9 years old when my father went to prison. Before that, we were not rich, but we were happy. We lived in a government housing facility in the Netherlands. The buildings were gray and plain, but inside our home there was always warmth. My mother cooked every evening. My father helped us with homework. We watched television together every night. We were 5 children, and then one day, everything ended. I didn't understand what happened at first. I only remember my mother crying at the kitchen table, my father sitting quietly, not eating, not talking, just staring at his hands. Then one night, police came to our door. They spoke quietly but seriously. My father put on his coat. He hugged us one by one. When he hugged me, he held me longer than usual. He whispered into my ear, "Take care of your mother." I didn't understand why he said that. Then he left with the police. That was the last night we were a normal family. My father was sent to a high-security prison. Later, when he came back, he told us what it was like inside. I wish he never told us, because the things he described never left my mind. He said prison was not just walls and bars. He said prison was a place where fear lived. He told us about the first stabbing he saw. He said it happened during lunch. 2 men were arguing. Nobody stopped them. Nobody called guards. Then suddenly one man pulled out a small knife. Not a real knife. A homemade one. A shank made from metal and cloth. He stabbed the other man again and again. My father said the man didn't even scream at first. He just looked surprised. Then he fell, and the floor filled with blood. The guards came later. Too late. The man died on the floor, and everyone went back to eating like nothing happened. That's when my father understood where he was. My father said prison had groups. Gangs. You had to belong somewhere or you were alone. And if you were alone, you were a target, because hurting someone alone made people look strong. It gave them reputation. My father was quiet and kept to himself, so they saw him as weak. He told us sometimes people would walk past him and whisper, "You won't last long here." He started sleeping very lightly, because attacks often happened at night. One day, he was walking back to his cell when someone hit him from behind. He fell. Then someone kicked him in the ribs. Another hit his face. He said he never even saw their faces. They just walked away after, like it was normal, like he was nothing. He had a broken rib and a cut above his eye. No one cared. He said the worst nights were the nights of what... He said when prisoners were angry, they didn't fight guards. They fought the prison itself. They would scream all night, kick doors, break toilets, flood cells with water, throw things into the hallway, metal banging, people screaming, guards shouting, water everywhere. He said sometimes the noise was so loud it felt like the prison was falling apart. He said those nights were worse than the stabbings, because you couldn't sleep, you couldn't think, you just waited for morning and hoped nobody came into your cell. The worst thing he ever saw was a murder in the showers. He told us he never forgot the sound, not the attack, not the shouting. The sound he never forgot was the silence after. He said when someone dies violently, there's a moment when everyone goes quiet, like the building itself knows something terrible just happened. He said that silence was the most frightening sound he ever heard. When my father finally came home years later, he was not the same man. He didn't like loud noises. He didn't sleep much. He always checked doors and windows. He sat with his back to the wall when we ate. He jumped when someone touched his shoulder. Prison did not just lock him inside. It followed him home. My mother did everything to get him out earlier. Lawyers, appeals, papers, travel, phone calls. She sold her jewelry, then the car, then furniture, then almost everything in the house. When my father finally came home, we had almost nothing left. After the scandal, the government stopped helping us. Our scholarships were cancelled. Our housing support stopped. We couldn't afford rent anymore. We had nowhere to go. That's when my father said we had one last place. His grandfather's old house, outside the city, deep in the woods. I remember the first day we arrived. The house was old, wooden, quiet, too quiet. No neighbors, no streetlights, just trees. So many trees. The wind sounded like whispering. At night, everything made noise. Branches, leaves, animals, things moving in the dark. We were not used to that. Every small sound scared us. Every shadow looked like something watching. The city had noise. The woods had silence. And silence is much more frightening. We thought prison was the worst thing that happened to our family. We were wrong. The worst things happened in that house. In those woods, one by one, we lost everyone. And it started with the snakes. When we moved to the house in the woods, we were already a broken family. But we didn't know the woods were going to finish what prison started. The house was very old. It smelled like wet wood and dust. The floor made noise when you walked. At night, the walls made cracking sounds like someone was slowly walking around the house. We were not used to silence like that. In the city, there were always cars, people, lights. In the woods, when night came, it was completely dark. Not normal dark. Heavy dark. The kind where you feel like something is standing behind you even when you are alone. The first week, everything scared us. Branches scratching windows, wind pushing the door, owls making sounds at night, something walking on the roof sometimes. Even the floor moving when someone walked felt like the house was alive. My younger brother started sleeping in my parents' room because he was too scared to sleep alone. My father tried to act brave, but I could see he was afraid too. Prison had made him scared of people. The woods made him scared of everything else. My mother was always worried about animals. She said the woods were not like the city. She said in the city, danger walks on two legs. In the woods, danger crawls, hides, and waits. She always checked our shoes before we wore them. She always checked under beds. She always locked the doors before sunset. She kept saying one thing again and again. Out here, we are not the owners. We are the visitors. One afternoon, we found a snake skin near the back door. It was long, very long, longer than my arm. It looked like a ghost of a snake, empty, like the snake had left its old body behind and was somewhere else now. My father tried to act calm. He said, "It's normal. Snakes change skin." But my mother didn't look calm. She said, "If the skin is here, the snake is near." That night, nobody slept well. Every small sound felt like something moving on the floor. The day my brother died started like a normal day. My parents had gone into town to try to find work. My older brother went with them. So only 3 of us were home. Me, my younger brother, and my sister. We were in the living room watching television. It was very quiet that day. Too quiet. Even the birds were not making noise. I remember that clearly, because later I understood why. My brother went to the kitchen to get water. A few seconds later, I heard the glass fall and break. Then silence. I thought he dropped something. Then he screamed. Not a normal scream. A scream that sounded like pain and fear at the same time. I ran to the kitchen. He was standing near the door, frozen, pointing at the floor. I looked down, and I saw it. It was thick, brown with dark patterns, coiled on the floor, its head slightly lifted, not moving, just watching. A Russell's viper. I didn't know the name then, but I learned later. It is one of the most dangerous snakes in the world. Very fast, very aggressive, very deadly. My brother tried to move slowly backward, but snakes don't wait. In 1 second, it moved. Fast, faster than I thought anything could move. It struck his leg. He screamed and fell. The snake pulled back and coiled again, watching, waiting, like it knew what was going to happen next. My brother tried to stand but fell again. He started crying and shouting my mother's name. His legs started swelling very fast. He said it felt like fire inside his body. He was shaking, crying, trying to breathe. I didn't know what to do. We were far from the city. No hospital nearby, no car, no phone signal, nothing. We dragged him to the living room. He was sweating and shaking. His eyes looked strange. He kept saying, "It hurts, it hurts, it hurts," over and over. My sister was crying. I was trying to stop the bleeding, but the bite marks were small, too small for so much pain. That's a terrifying thing about venom. You don't see the damage, but inside the body, everything is shutting down. After some time, he stopped screaming. That scared me more. He started breathing slowly, very slowly. He looked at me and said, "I'm sleepy." I told him not to sleep. I kept talking to him, but his eyes kept closing. The venom was shutting his body down. Slowly, painfully, we were alone with him for hours, waiting for our parents, listening to his breathing become slower and slower and slower until it stopped. The house was completely silent again. The same silence from the morning my father was arrested. The same silence from the prison stories. The same silence from the woods at night. Silence that means something terrible has happened. When my parents came home and saw him on the floor, my mother screamed in a way I never heard before. My father just stood there, frozen, like he was back in prison again, watching another person die and not being able to stop it. He didn't cry that day. He just sat next to my brother's body all night and kept saying one sentence: "I survived prison, but I can't protect my own children." After that day, everything changed. We were afraid to walk outside, afraid to open doors, afraid to move furniture, afraid to sleep on the floor. Snakes are terrifying because they don't make noise. They don't warn you. They don't chase you. They just wait, hidden, camouflage, silent. And then in 1 second, everything is over. Months passed after my brother died, but the house never felt normal again. We stopped using the kitchen where the snake bit him. My mother said she could still see him on the floor every time she entered that room. So we moved the table into the living room and started eating there instead. No one talked much anymore. Grief makes people quiet. Fear makes them quieter. And we had both. My father was not the same man who went to prison. But now he was also not the same man who came back. He barely slept. At night, he walked around the house with a flashlight, checking corners, checking under furniture, checking the doors again and again. Sometimes I woke up and saw him just standing in the hallway, listening for movement, listening for something crawling, listening for danger. He said prison taught him one thing: danger is always there. You just don't see it yet. We stopped going deep into the woods. We stayed close to the house. But even near the house, we found snake tracks in the dirt sometimes. Long lines in the soil, like someone dragged a rope across the ground. Except it wasn't a rope. It was something alive. Something that could be watching us from the grass. The woods were beautiful during the day. But we knew beauty in nature can also be danger. Animals don't hate you. They don't love you. They don't care about you. And that makes them more dangerous than humans sometimes. About 7 months after my brother died, summer came. It was very hot that day. We had no air conditioning, no fans. The house felt like an oven. So my father said we should go to the river near the woods to cool down. My mother didn't want to go. She said she didn't trust the woods. She said she didn't trust the water. But it was too hot. So we went. That was the worst decision we ever made. The river was wide and slow. The water looked brown and calm. Too calm. There were no people there. No boats. No animals near the water. Even the birds were not near the river. It was very quiet. I remember this clearly now because silence always came before something bad in our lives. Prison, the snake, and now the river. Always silence first. My older brother was happy to finally leave the house for a while. He ran into the water first. He was laughing, splashing water, calling me and my sister to join him. My father sat near the shore watching us. My mother stayed back near the trees. She looked nervous the entire time. She kept looking at the water like she expected something to come out of it. My brother walked deeper into the river, water up to his waist, then his chest. He turned and shouted, "The water feels weird here." My father told him to come back closer. But then something happened. The water behind my brother moved. Not like a wave, not like wind, like something big moved under the surface. Very big. My brother suddenly screamed. A real scream. A scream full of fear. He tried to move forward, but his body jerked backward suddenly, like someone had grabbed him from under the water. He started screaming my father's name. The water exploded around him. Then we saw it. A huge dark shape. Long, thick, moving around his body. It wrapped around him so fast we didn't understand what was happening at first. One coil around his waist, another around his chest, another around his legs. The snake was huge, thicker than a man's leg, longer than any animal I had ever seen. A green anaconda, one of the largest snakes in the world. And it had my brother. My father ran into the water. He tried to pull my brother, but the snake tightened. That's what anacondas do. They don't bite to kill. They wrap, and every time you breathe out, they squeeze tighter. My brother was screaming. Then he couldn't scream anymore. Then he started making choking sounds. My father was hitting the snake, punching it, trying to pull it, but it was too strong, much stronger than a human. I remember my brother looking at us. His eyes were wide, full of fear. He tried to say something, but he couldn't breathe. The snake squeezed again, and then my brother stopped moving. But the snake didn't stop. It kept wrapping, slowly, calmly, like it had all the time in the world. The snake slowly started pulling him under the water. My father tried to hold him, but he slipped. The water turned dark and quiet again, like nothing had happened. No splash, no scream, nothing. The river became calm again, and my brother was gone. My father walked out of the river slowly. He didn't say anything. He didn't cry. He just looked at the water for a long time. Then he said something I will never forget. Prison didn't kill me, but life is killing my whole family one by one. After that day, my father was never the same again. Not even a little. He stopped going outside, stopped talking, stopped eating much. He just sat and stared at the forest, like he was waiting for his turn. After the river took my brother, my father stopped being a father. He was still alive. He still walked. He still ate sometimes. But the man who used to carry us on his shoulders, who used to laugh loudly, who used to tell stories, that man never came back from the river. I think part of him died there in the water when he watched his son disappear under the surface. My father started sitting outside every evening, facing the woods. He would sit there for hours without moving, sometimes until midnight, sometimes until morning. My mother told him to come inside, but he didn't listen. One day I heard him talking quietly while sitting outside. I thought someone was there, but when I looked, he was alone. He was talking to the darkness. One night I sat beside him. I asked him, "Dad, why do you always look at the forest?" He didn't look at me when he answered. He just said quietly, "In prison, danger came from men. Hey, danger comes from everything." Then he said something else that scared me. He said, "In prison, at least I knew who wanted to kill me." Hey, I don't know. After that, he began waking up at night, opening doors, checking windows, looking under beds, walking through the house slowly like he was searching for someone. My mother asked him what he was doing. He said, "Something walks around the house at night." We never saw anything, but sometimes, late at night, I heard something outside too. Slow movement in the grass, like something long sliding across the ground. One evening my father said something strange during dinner. He said, "This house does not want us here." My mother told him to stop talking like that in front of us, but he continued. He said, "First prison, then the snakes, then the river. Bad things followed his family." No one spoke after that, because deep down, we were all starting to think the same thing. Weeks passed. My father started eating less and less. Sometimes only bread, Sometimes nothing. He became very thin. His eyes looked tired all the time, like he hadn't slept in years. He spent most of his time sitting in the living room where my brother died, just sitting there, looking at the floor. One night I woke up because I heard my mother crying. I walked quietly to the living room. My father was sitting on the floor, in the exact place where the snake killed my brother. He was crying. I had never seen my father cry before. Not when he went to prison. Not when we lost our house. Not even when my brother died. But that night, he cried like a broken man. He kept saying the same thing again and again. This is my fault. If I didn't go to prison, we would still be in the city. If we stayed in the city, they would still be alive. My mother hugged him, but he just kept crying. I think that night something inside him completely broke. After that night, he got sick. Not suddenly, slowly. He was always tired, always coughing, always weak. He didn't want to go to the hospital. He said he didn't care anymore. He said he was tired of fighting life. He said life always won anyway. One evening he told me to walk with him into the woods. We walked slowly. He was very weak. We didn't go far. We sat on a fallen tree. He looked at me for a long time. Then he said something I will never forget for the rest of my life. He said, "You are the strongest one. You will survive. No matter what happens, you must survive." I didn't understand why he was saying that. I told him he would be fine. He just smiled, but it was a very sad smile. A few days later, my mother tried to wake him up in the morning, but he didn't wake up. He died in his sleep, quietly. No pain, no sound, just gone. My mother screamed so loudly the bird flew out of the trees. We buried him near the edge of the woods, near a big tree he used to sit under. Now we were only three. My mother, my sister, and me. And the house felt bigger than ever, and emptier than ever, and more dangerous than ever. After my father died, the house became something else. Not just empty, not just quiet. It felt abandoned, like even the house itself had given up on us. It was just three of us now. My mother, my sister, and me. But it didn't feel like three people. It felt like one and two shadows. We barely spoke anymore. Meals were quiet. Nights were longer. And every sound felt louder than it should be. The wind, the floor, the trees outside. Everything sounded like something trying to come closer. At first, my mother tried to stay strong. She cleaned the house, cooked for us, tried to talk to us like before. But grief is like something that slowly eats you from inside. And I could see it happening to her. She stopped singing while cooking. She stopped smiling completely. She stopped looking at us directly, like she was already somewhere else. At night, I started hearing her voice. Not loud, soft, like she was talking to someone. At first, I thought she was praying. But one night, I listened carefully. She wasn't praying. She was answering, pausing, listening, then speaking again, like someone was talking back to her. One night, I got up to drink water. I walked quietly to the living room, and I saw her, sitting in the dark, no lights on, just a faint light from the window. She was sitting on the floor, in the same place my brother died, in the same place my father cried. She was looking at the empty space in front of her, and she said, "I'm sorry, I couldn't protect you." Then she paused, like she was listening, and then she nodded slowly, like someone had answered her. After that night, I started feeling something strange. The house didn't feel empty anymore. It felt full, not with people you could see, but with something you could feel. Sometimes I felt like someone walked past me, but when I turned, no one was there. Sometimes I felt like someone was standing behind me, breathing, watching, but when I looked, nothing. My sister started having nightmares. She would wake up screaming, saying she saw our brothers in her dreams. But something was wrong with them. She said they looked at her without blinking. She said they were calling her, telling her to come outside, into the woods. My mother didn't comfort her anymore. She just listened, quietly, like she believed it. One evening, my mother looked at me and said, "Maybe we were not meant to survive." I didn't know what to say. She continued, "Maybe something followed your father from prison." I felt cold when she said that, because my father said something similar before he died. She said, "Bad things don't just happen. Sometimes they come for you. Just like my father, she started eating less, then almost nothing. She became very thin, very weak. She slept a lot, or at least, she stayed in bed a lot. Sometimes I thought she was sleeping, but her eyes were open, just staring at nothing. The night before she died, something happened. The house was completely silent. Even the trees outside were still. No wind, no animals, nothing. I woke up suddenly. I don't know why, but I felt something was wrong. I walked to my mother's room. The door was slightly open. I looked inside. She was sitting on the bed, looking at the corner of the room, smiling, a soft, peaceful smile, the kind I hadn't seen in a long time. She whispered, "You came back for me." Then she laid down slowly, closed her eyes, and didn't move again. In the morning, she didn't wake up, just like my father, just gone. No pain, no struggle, just silence. We buried her next to my father, near the same tree. Now it was just me and my sister, 2 children, alone, in a house that no longer felt like a home. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat in the living room, listening, waiting, and then I heard it, very soft, from the hallway, a voice, familiar, my mother's voice, whispering, "Come outside." After my mother died, the house changed again. It wasn't just quiet anymore. It felt like something had finished what it came to do, and now it was waiting for what was left, which was us. It was only me and my sister now, 2 children in a house deep in the woods. No neighbors, no help, no adults. We didn't know what to do. We didn't know who to call. The world outside felt very far away, and the house felt very close. Too close, like it was closing in on us slowly. We stopped using most of the house. We stayed in one room, together, always together. We didn't sleep alone. We didn't go anywhere alone. Even going to the bathroom felt dangerous. We kept the lights on all night, because darkness felt alive. After my mother died, the voices didn't stop. They became clearer, stronger. Sometimes I heard my father, sometimes my brothers, sometimes my mother, all of them calling softly, saying simple things. "Come here. We're outside. We're waiting." The worst part was, they sounded real, exactly like them. Not strange, not broken, just normal. At first, my sister ignored the voices. But children are not strong forever. Fear changes you. Loneliness breaks you. And voices that sound like the people you love, they pull you slowly. One night she whispered to me, "I think they are really outside." I told her they weren't. I told her it was not real. But I wasn't sure myself anymore. One night, I woke up and she was not beside me. My heart started racing immediately. I ran into the hallway. The front door was slightly open. Cold air was coming inside. The woods were completely dark. No moon, no light, just blackness. And I saw her, standing at the door, looking outside. I grabbed her arm and pulled her back. "What are you doing?" I asked. She looked at me calmly, too calmly, and said, "They said they miss us." Her voice didn't sound scared. It sounded peaceful. That scared me more than anything. I slammed the door shut and locked it. But I knew something had already changed. That night, we didn't sleep. We sat in the corner of the room, holding each other, listening. The house made small sounds. The floor creaked. The wind touched the walls. And sometimes, very softly, we heard footsteps outside, walking around the house. Slow, patient, like something circling us. I don't remember falling asleep, but I must have, because when I woke up, she was gone. The door was closed, locked, just like I left it. But she was gone. No sound, no sign, no struggle, nothing, just gone. Like my family, like everyone. That was a moment I understood something. I was not losing people. They were being taken, one by one. And now, I was the last one. I don't know how many days I stayed in that house alone. Time didn't feel real anymore. I stopped counting. I stopped caring. I ate very little. I drank water. I sat in the same place, listening, waiting. The voices kept coming, calling me, begging me, sometimes laughing, sometimes whispering my name. After some time, I started thinking something terrible. What if they were really outside? What if they were waiting for me? What if the only way to see my family again was to go to them? That thought stayed in my head, growing, becoming stronger every day. One night, I stood in front of the door, my hand on the handle. The house was silent. The voices were quiet, like they were waiting for me to decide. I closed my eyes, and I heard my mother's voice one last time. Come home. Before I could open the door, I heard something else. A loud sound. Cars. Voices. Real voices. Not whispers. People shouting outside. Lights flashed through the windows. I stepped back, confused. Then I heard someone banging on the door. Is anyone inside? They broke the door open. Police. People. Lights. Noise. So much noise. It hurt my ears. They found me sitting on the floor. Weak. Silent. They kept asking questions. But I couldn't answer. I just looked at them. Because for a long time, I thought the outside world didn't exist anymore. They said neighbors reported the house. They said it looked abandoned. They said no one had seen us in months. They said my family was gone. All of them, dead or missing. They said I was lucky to be alive. But I didn't feel lucky. As they took me out of the house, I looked back one last time. At the door, at the windows, at the woods behind it. And I heard it, very soft, very far, from inside the house. A whisper. You left. They took me away. They put me in care. They said I was safe. But I still hear them sometimes. At night, when it's quiet, when everything feels still, I hear my family calling me, waiting. And sometimes, when I close my eyes, I see the house again, standing in the woods, silent, patient, like it's still there, waiting for me to come back. Some people think I survived, but I don't think I did, because a part of me never left that house. Some people believe this story is about prison, snakes, and a house in the woods, but it's not. It's about how life can slowly take everything from a family, one piece at a time, until there's nothing left but silence. A father who survived prison but could not survive guilt. A mother who survived loss but could not survive loneliness. Children who survived the city but not the wilderness. And a house that stood still while everything inside it disappeared. Some say the woods are dangerous because of animals. Some say prisons are dangerous because of people. But sometimes, the most dangerous thing in the world is not a place, not an animal, and not a person. Sometimes, the most dangerous thing is simply bad fate that refuses to leave a family alone. And somewhere, deep in the woods, there's still an old house standing. Quiet, empty, patient. And if you ever find a house in the middle of nowhere that looks abandoned, you might want to keep walking. Because some houses are not empty. They are just waiting. Thank you for listening to Fractured Mind Horror TV. If you enjoy slow, psychological, and disturbing horror stories like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because the next story might be even darker. And remember, not every horror story ends when the story ends.